make the thing work first. They go on. Anyway, while I'm here, maybe we can talk about the lovely weather in Thailand. Okay, very good. Yes, today is HF training. Very good. Okay, so welcome to my show, or like they say in YouTube, welcome to my channel. I learned this from my little kid. My name is Ahmad Supian because my middle name Zafrullah is too long, so just call me Ahmad. And I am the managing director for HF Thailand Services, and as well as the general manager for HF Thailand Group Southeast Asia. And I'm very glad to be here to be able to make a presentation to you about a topic which is very close to my heart. And this one, if my clicker can work, 1 minute. Okay. All right, which is a DEX, extended life in a rubber internal mixer. Because my background is actually coming from the the tire industry, and one of the important things that I learned when I started my life in the rubber industry was that every day is a problem. And I started my career in the maintenance department, and from there I was a maintenance supervisor and ended my career in a tire company as an engineering manager. So we were always called in for all the breakdowns and all the nasty things that a mixer has. And I'm glad to join HF Mixing Group because then I get to see how things are from the manufacturer's standpoint. Right, so let's get into it quickly. A brief introduction about HF Mixing Group. We are HF Group. I have to explain that later. We are a technology company which comprises of key industrial leaders in the manufacturing of rubber, elastomer and plastics, compounding mixing machines, as well as a tire curing technology, and hence where the HF Group comes in. We have HF Tire Tech and HF Mixing Group, which started last year. We combined as one company, and now we are identified as HF Group. Jointly, inside our company, we have over 150 years in the industry, growing together with over 100 multinational industries. As well as local market leaders, we have continued to strive for technology excellence for our customers. And now we are also an international service centers across many service locations around the globe. And in Southeast Asia, we are located in Kuala Lumpur as well as in Bangkok, Thailand. 1 minute. Okay, my clicker is really funny. Okay. Now, let's go straight to the point. What does maintenance mean for us? Okay, this is the golden goose paradox, which I like to explain. You see here a photo of a brand new mixer in our workshop, okay? And preferably, you will like to have this same looking mixer when you start to do your production. And what we like to say when we mean by the golden goose paradox is that there is a saying that the golden goose will lay the golden eggs. And what it means that for this is the machine that gives you your profit. This is the machine that gives you the means for you to make your business in the rubber industry, right? And in that sense, we should take extra care of this particular machine. And as a machine manufacturer, we feel proud and passionate about the product development that we have produced. And that's why we are trying to grow together in order, together with our customers, make sure that your machine is in super performance. Okay? Okay. Therefore, when you first purchase your machine, daily care and maintenance starts from day one. This is an example, that same machine being installed at the customer side. Okay? Now we come to the second one. My clicker is not really working that well. Okay. So this is that same machine, but right now we already have to change something on the rotary actuator. And this is what we're trying to say in our philosophy. Therefore, in HF Mixing Group, the maintenance of a rubber mixer must be a proactive and we have to invest in predictive strategies, right? Because as the famous person in management did said, Mr. Peter Drucker, that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Maybe next slide, please. Okay, so let's start. What goes wrong in a Banbury? Next slide. Okay. where do I start? Many things. Mechanical damages from wear and tear, lack of lubrication, hydraulic system malfunctions, electronic control failures, automation hardware damages. These are all the nice things that will happen to you if you own a mixer and you don't do anything about it. Let's start. I have to click this one. Can I call this? Okay, so let's start with, where are we now? Let's go back. Okay, so here's your hydraulic. What I'm showing to you, does anybody know what this is? Joe, how are you? Do you know what this is, right? This is your famous story. Okay, I saw a hand coming out. Kevin. Joe, you know what this is, right? This is a dust ring, right? And this is not a dust ring which is coming from like only HF. I mean, all the other companies are also producing this generic dust ring. We call it the yoke type dust ring. Now you have, for example, the hydraulic cylinder, which provides the hydraulic pressure to make the pressure onto the dust rings. And the mechanical devices which holds on to your dust ring is a yoke system, which is held together by a pivot in the middle. Okay, can I have another one? Sorry, let me just do it. Okay. Right, so now from this photo, sorry, you can see already that the main point of this dust ring is to create a hermetic seal in order to cause any of the mixing ingredients that is happening inside the mixer not to come out through the mixer chamber. And that is created by a hermetic seal which is done from the lubrication oil. Can you press the next one? And that lubrication oil is a material flow that that is injected through this check valve coming from your lubrication line. This photo, as you can see, it looks quite big, right? But actually, the amount of gaps that you have in this one is nearly almost just a millimeter or less, roughly 0.8. So you can imagine what will happen if the lubrication doesn't work. There's no hermetic sealing. So material will start to seep out. And people will start to say, well, it's just a little bit of material. Should not be a problem, right? Can I have the next slide? Thank you. Well, this is a damaged dust ring. And that is the hole that you just saw just now. That was the thing holding the machine together from burning out. And this, over time, is the amount of rubber that's been sticking out. It's a dirty job. If I can have the next slide. This is another example. Yeah, those materials are seeping out, coming out of the dust ring, and for this particular customer, it was creating a big problem because it was increasing the temperature. And for a mixer, we can't allow this to go higher than more than 100 degrees or 120 degrees, because you have risk of fire. And if anybody remembers, in a mixing room, a fire is where most of the things can start. Next slide. Thank you. So you can see that the excessive wear will also damage the rotor end plates. And in the world of HF, we like when you have a damaged rotor end plates because it's a big spare part order for me. But for you, you can actually extend this life if you actually take some care onto the maintenance of the dust ring. So what does that mean? We have to have some sessions of cleaning up the dust ring. Okay, and when we say clean, we mean really clean, because, can I have the next slide? Okay, this is not clean. This is just, I just put my hand in because my boss wants to see what's happening. This is clean, okay? Okay, maybe not 100%. You can still see some items here, but we have to already see the actual touch surface of the internal dust ring, okay? Then we know that we are clean. Then we know we can check if the O-rings are okay. Moving to the next subject, the drop door. Also, one of the biggest headache of a shift maintenance, okay? Because this is where a lot of your problems will occur. With the lack of lubrication, which is the main item here, we have to really take care. We also have wear plates. They are located underneath the side of the main frame, okay? We have also the actuator wear adjustments. We also have the hydraulic maintenance on the actuator cylinders, and also regular cleaning, because a lot of materials will get stuck over on the door top. Can I have the next slide? Thank you. So, coming back to that point, Here are the locations of your wear plates. This is one of the examples of the design. Now, one of the things is, over time, when you start running, you have material that will start to be building up some residue on this side. That's why the cleaning of the mixer is important. And at the same time, the tuning of the drop door has to be important. Inspections need to be done regularly to ensure that you are actually sealing this system. One thing that people don't realize is that they think that the drop door has some magic function when you, so far I've seen in the technology that we have right now, that when the drop door closes, that it will close up to the main, it will have a good contact point, and then the latch will come in and make the lock, okay? But here's the thing, over time, you will wear out this position. You will wear out this position. There will not be a main contact here. And what happens is you want to get a perfect sealing of the drop door, but your latch is still functioning at the same position. Why? Because this latch takes the feedback from a position sensor. And that is why we need to ensure that over time we do some inspections and make sure that the position of the drop door is always in full contact. And after we've identified that, then we can make small adjustments to the latch to ensure that we have this continuous sealing. Or not, you will have material leaking out. Okay, so this is one of the examples, of the things that we have to take care of. Grease distribution, we mentioned just now, the importance of lubrication on the drop door. So you can see here that we have a distributor and is also well equipped with a sensor. Yes, in the world of those who work with sensors and those who have BMWs and Mercedes, I know this is a big problem because sensors always blink and always give you some kind of error, and it's very annoying. But we need to take this information seriously because it is telling us there is something wrong. There is a blockage somewhere in the distributor. And if you don't take care of that, can I have the next slide? Thank you. Okay, you won't be able to identify already damages within the distribution. And this might look normal to some people and say, we can just clean this up, it's just, we'll deal with this next time. But the distributor of this design, it is very important to understand that if one section of the distributor is blocked, it almost never sends any of the distribution of grease to the other points. Okay? So we have to really check the condition of the distribution of grease. Because if it doesn't get grease, there is no lubrication on the drop door shaft. When there's no lubrication on the drop door shaft, the actuator is trying to turn. And if it doesn't get that turning, your coupling will start to break. And that's what you get, a broken drop door shaft. And then I get a phone call at the middle of the night that we need a spare like tomorrow or yesterday. So what do? Well, we have to repair it, but then we have to give you a new spare part, right? But it's a very long process. Next one. Okay, another one, damages on the drop door, okay? The cooling water, okay, right. This is the pipe that is the main inlet pipe for a rotary joint. Okay, and then I don't have the photo of a rotary joint. I didn't have time to put it, but there is an internal bushing, and and with a misalignment of an installation of a rotary joint, it will start to eat into the input pipe for this rotary joint. This might not be a problem, but it will be a big problem when it comes to a drop door or even the rotor, because then you will not have good temperature control, right? Which is required now for modern mixing. As a result, can I have the next? Just press again. Yeah, that's how bad it can become. Yeah, when the leakage is coming from the drop door. And when you have that, you will definitely, for the modern mixer as well as the modern compounds, you will have a problem with the mixer temperature. Can I have the next slide? Thank you. Here is we're looking at the most complicated side of hydraulics, okay, where we're talking about a servo valve package and the hydraulic ram. I mean, let's be honest, almost all mixers are right now with hydraulic ram. I would like to touch, I don't have a photo of a pneumatic ram, but people always say that, why not we just go for pneumatic ram? I will show in another picture that pneumatic ram has come with its challenges as well. But for now, I will just focus on the hydraulic maintenance of this ram. So can I have the next slide? Okay, so just now you saw was the servo valve, right? Okay, so you have two packages. You have the controller, and you also have the valve, the valve unit. Okay, and you can see from the photo right now that it looks like it's not so bad, right? All the orifices and the hydraulic connections are quite clear. Yeah, but this is the part that is very important. And this is why we always stress to the customer to make sure and maintain the conditions of the oil, because this is really microns, okay? The control of the servo of your valve to control your ram is actually operating at microns. And so what happens is that if you have contamination onto your oil, it will disrupt the operating of the piston. Okay. Can you have a night? Okay. And as proof of that, this is an example from the hydraulic manifold when we did a maintenance on the item. Just random maintenance, okay? This was, customer was very good because he knows the importance of maintenance and said, okay, we have a period, we like you to do a maintenance. And we found that this was broken. Yeah, so it's good that he identified that and got us to identify it so that he can continue with his performance. Okay. Another thing is to be careful about is the pump maintenance, and not only just the pump, but sometimes the accessories that connect, like this one is the check valve for the return line for the pump, is also a big issue. And you can't even, like if this one is blocked because of the problem of the quality of the oil, you will eventually get what calls a non-functioning pump. And next one. Now comes to the point about the packing seal. All right. So just to describe you what this is, so you have the ram shaft, and inside here you will have what we call it the ram bush, because that is what is moving up and down your hopper. You can see it more clearly from here. So in the middle here is your ram shaft, and then on the top there you have your pressure ring, and then you have your wiper seal, and here the packing seals, yeah, for the thing. The job is to ensure that we don't get dust inside the function of the ram shaft. Okay. Now, the most important thing is a lot of people mistake that this is not a maintainable item. So ever since it's been installed, we let it run, and nobody cares about the condition of this ram shaft. Now this packing seal, as you can see, there are gaps right here, which basically means that over time, we have to check if material are leaking from this side. And if this material is leaking, then we need to make some adjustments. We need to also do some inspections to see if there's no abnormalities coming from the wiper seal. But we also need to make some adjustments to make sure that we have a better sealing from the packing seal. Okay, because you can make this. If you don't do that, then because you can't see anything here, is because of all the material, the carbon black is sprouting out from this orifice. Okay, and that can cause many problems. Among other things, it can jam up your conditions, and we can create some unbalances. This is an example whereby the wear and tear on the support beam on the frame, and when it was just moving erratically, okay, you can see now the bushing that we have for the hydraulic cylinder is completely or almost gone. Okay, so this had to be replaced. Can I have the next one? Right. And the bump stop, which is supposed to be a kind of a protective positioning a material to ensure that. Can you go back? Could you go back? Yeah. In order to protect the beam when it comes down, yeah. If it's not being taken care of, then you have the possibility that your beam will also be damaged. Yeah. Yeah. So this, you can see that the before replacement, yeah, is completely worn out. It's just knocking on the beam. You can see the hit marks between the beam onto the frame, and you can see that a new part gives you at least about a 2 millimeter of gap. Yeah, this is the thing that holds on to your beam. Can I have the next one? Okay. So what happens if you don't take care of these things? So you have a bent beam. And at the same time, what happens that you will have to do the replacement, and it's not an easy job. So you have to do a lot of extensive work to do these repairs. Okay. And if you really don't take care of it, you end up having to break your ram shaft, which, as everybody knows, is really a sad business. What I'm trying to show in this photo, that's the floating weight of the ram. That is the ram shaft. That is the cooling pipe, and that is the waterfall of the water that came out. Yeah, so this can happen, and I'm sure that a lot of people who are running mixers who have probably seen this situation, and they have something in common. When the main thing is, like we mentioned just now, was that we are not taking care of the maintenance of the ram shaft. Okay. Now let's go straight to the main point that I think many might want to ask the question about mixer rotor conditions. Can we play the video? Yes. This is every tire company's nightmare, where you see the water leak out of your rotors. Okay. And the reason I bring this up is because some people say, yes, we just hire a welder and he can weld it because, it should be something that is easy to be done. My quick answer to that is no. Can I have the next? First, what you need to do, you have to clean it. You have to clean the location, and you have to find the source of the leak. Properly find the source of the leak. Does anybody know where is the leak? We have a range of about 9 centimeters, 9 millimeters. Does anybody know where the hole is? You can't see it from here, isn't it? Nobody can. You might think the hole is in here, but actually the hole is coming out from here at the level 5 and is seeping out to the other side. So what he needs to do, what the professional welder needs to do, can I have the next slide, is he has to access this, okay, and do the welding. And the location of the welding area on site is something that is not easy. First thing that we have to consider, that the chamber opening has to be accessible. And this is exactly an example. Look at this guy, okay? His whole entire body is inside the chamber, okay? And he is thinner than me. So if I am inside here, I don't think you'll see a different story altogether, right? I'll probably break the rotors, even worse, okay? This kind of welding, you have to use a special welding rod, okay? And you actually have to preheat those rotors. So not only is the welder who you want has to do this in such a very stressful environment, but he has to do it in the condition that he is crunched in this location with safety protection, with the head mask, and also safety coveralls because of the potential of fire. And at the same time, he has to be in a hot condition. And he can only weld at a certain period and over a certain time. And the worst of all, once a rotor crack, there is no guarantee how long it will last. Okay, can I have the next slide? You require a very high-skilled welder, because one of the things people forget about the welder's job is not just the skill to weld, but the skill to grind and find the right position and the right source for the welding rod to make the connection, okay, in order to build the bond. And so he has to grind this before he can do the welding. It's a very tiring process, Very demanding, and sometimes can take almost about 4 to 5 hours just grinding to find the source. Only then can he weld. Can I have the next? And once he has done the welding, and our welder has done a good job, okay, to get it done up, he has to also then smoothen out the surface, because you do not want to put this into operation. If you put that into operation, your material will wear that off very fast. Okay, you have to smoothen it out, or not. This is an abrasion, and it actually will wear out. The rubber will wear out your material. Okay, next one. Okay, so enough of all the sad stories we hear just now. What we are here is for to talk about preventive maintenance. And when we talk about preventive maintenance, can I have the next slide, please? We hire a very pretty girl to do the checklist, because you need maybe to get cooperation from people, right? When you want to do this. So according to Benjamin Franklin, there was a quote: "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." All right. So it is good to do a lot now to avoid the problems later. So preventive maintenance for valve mixers, it involves regular cleaning. You have to do lubrication inspections, performance testing to prevent breakdowns, and ensure efficient operations, minimizing downtime and maximizing productivity. So the activity actually requires a production scheduling downtime. It requires the discipline from top management to support a top-down approach to ensure that these activities are produced. And the manufacturer and the parts supplier play a key role, people like me and the HF, to advise on the equipment reliability and lifetime. So, preventive replacement activity based on predetermined periods, there are pros and cons. The pros is that when we do this activity, we avoid downtime. But the cons is, the idea behind preventive maintenance is just change the part before it breaks up. It's a good idea if we have a lot of money. Okay, but buying a lot of spare parts gives me a lot of bonus, but makes you the worst employer in front of your manager. Okay, so yeah, jokes aside. So here are some of our recommendations for a basic maintenance program. Okay, very, very simple, sustainable preventive maintenance things. Mentioned before, always check the lubrication levels in your lubrication pump and grease pumps. Inspect the ram packing. This is something that's always been overlooked. Yeah, for material buildup, and clean and adjust if necessary. Also, I don't have it on the slide yet, but ensure cooling and heating system like TCU are functioning properly. Okay. Inspect the dust rings, dust seals system for leaks. So that means regular cleaning, to see if you start seeing more material coming out of your dust rings, then we need to do something about it. For the pneumatic ram, check the air pressure in the pneumatic system. An example like in the hopper, and also for the ram cylinders. And also for if you need to monitor the hydraulic, the minimum you can do is look out for leaks and check the oil level. And then inspect and test the emergency stop buttons and safety interlocks. In fact, this one in most companies, this is the first thing they do. Okay, right. Sorry, can you go back 1 moment? One point I would like to talk about the monitor of the hydraulic oil levels, and also the leaks for we'll call this the location of leaks. One thing that we also overlook is that in our environment, when we operate the hydraulic machines, there would be over time, we'll call it some kind of convection or evaporation. Yeah, and one of the problems that we have about the hydraulic levels, when we have these leaks, sometimes slowly over time, maybe small times, but these leaks, what it causes, it will be that the volume of oil that needs to provide the pressure will not be enough. And at one time, when it's not enough, you will find that you won't have enough pressure to move the ram or the drop door. And you start looking at the electronic items. You call the control engineer. You call the electrician. And then we go in, we spend maybe 2 hours, one shift trying to check the program, everything is correct. And then we start scratching our heads, and then why is this not moving? And then we found out, actually there's not enough oil. So sometimes one of the big things that we can do is to eliminate the problem is try to look at your oil levels, yeah, in your hydraulic tank. Yeah, this is something that's very important. Okay, next slide. Now, as we go towards weekly and monthly programs, there are things that we can do like clean and inspect the discharge door sealing system, service and refill lubrication points, and also test your temperature sensors for accuracy. And we have monthly maintenance checklists, which means that you can check the lubrication and replace the O-rings for the dust rings. Okay, analyze the hydraulic oil for contamination and when to change those oils, or maybe to refresh those oils. There are companies who can do that services. And we can inspect and calibrate load cells for your polymer weighing system, and clean and inspect the cooling and heating system pipelines, and also conduct some vibrational analysis for abnormal wear on the HPU motor. Okay, and for some customers, they might want to consider like investing in a system. I just put here an example. For example, SAP plant maintenance. This is not actually from HF. You can find many other companies who can provide this system. Yeah, but this is one of the examples. Okay, the next slide, please. But I'd like to bring your attention back. The problem that we have with preventive maintenance is that you have to deal with these three major items. And this is the truth, right? You have a plan, and often the maintenance schedule has to be replanned. And sometimes it is completely delayed altogether because you're fighting to get the time from production. At the same time, you might incur high cost of buying many spare parts. You just want to buy it just in case, okay? And you should have some spare parts, but you buying all the spare parts is almost the same as buying a new mixer. Another one is that sometimes with all this preventive maintenance, you will face a little bit of a problem because you do this maintenance, but breakdowns and downtime still occur regardless of these stoppages. The key word here is that we have to find a better way, okay? And this is where we come to our next point. Can I have this say? Where is condition-based maintenance, all right? HF, we have the philosophy. Nothing is better than data. We love data-intensive driven maintenance programs. Now this is where we come in because as an OEM expert, we participate with the customers to be a maintenance partner. And what we mean is we like to go through this journey with you in maintaining the high performance of your machine and reliability. Okay, can we, next one. So, and why this is important for HF now. Look, we make the machine, we design the machine, so we know what the parameters are. Anybody can make a measurement, that is correct. I get that a lot from other customers. But when they see the efforts that are required, they understand it's not just putting somebody in the mixer, but it's putting a trained individual who knows what he needs to find and what he needs to check to make that calculative and accurate inspection. Okay, so here is a little graph showcasing the wear in, for example, a rotor gap. Okay, and we have from our side information how we design the machine, and we will start monitoring, take regular inspections, and feedback to the customer, and tell him at which point that he might need to consider an investment on a major spare part, or maybe he would like to do some preemptive repairs, which I can show later in a very nice video of how this can happen. Yeah, but most important all, it's important that you engage your OEMs, not only HF, but you can also for your other equipment. Yeah, to understand what was the design characteristic of your equipment, because from there you can get a better understanding of how these informations are going to be managed. Can I have the next slide? This is an example of measurements that are done. On the left here, you can see the measurements done of the gaps between the rotor and the chamber. On the bottom here, you see measurements done of the gaps between the rotor and the end plate. These are measurements done of the gaps between the ram shaft together with the hopper. And you can see the position of the hopper between the intake of the chamber as well as the end of the hopper. Okay. So these are some of the examples of measurements that will be taken. Can I have the next slide? and it will be plotted out for you for reference. Okay, and it's not only the importance of just taking measurements. And this is what one of the discussions I had with several customers. It's like, oh, do you just go down there and just make measurements? Well, it's not only just measurements, also finding out and seeing the conditions of the mixer when you're down there. Can I have a look? On people who always tell me that it's so simple, just send somebody underneath into a mixer. Frankly speaking, this is actually myself in a mixer somewhere in Malaysia. Okay, it's not that the mixer is very small, it's because I'm very fat. That's the reason why you see I'm struggling to get underneath. Okay, and that I'm almost in the whole area of the mixer. This is a confined space inspection. In some cases, we might have to remove some opening because the oxygen level in this area is not conducive. So imagine you having to measure gaps and measure wear in a machine as small as this, right? With wearing protective equipment and also a helmet, and breathing in an area where the oxygen is not in its best situation. Yeah. So it takes a lot of training and also strength and health at the same time. Okay, so it's not, it's a very tiring and critical process. Can I have the next one? Yeah, and then you have to go all the way down to make the inspection of the rotor. So the job is a very tedious job. It's not so easy, okay? But it's something that we take pride about. Okay, next one. Another one is the hard coating thickness measurement, okay? Can you take another one? And this one that we have when we built the machine, we understand what was the design of the hard coating. And so we have the equipment to make sure that we can measure the hard coating conditions of your mixer over time. This is important because as the wear gets more and more, this will give you a certain indication of more high-tech inspection, which I will show you to the end of the slides. This is just an indicator when should we start going into more in-depth inspections. Okay. For rotors which are coated with chrome, yeah, it's also best to make measurements over time of the conditions of the chrome thickness onto your mixer. And this is an example of the measurements taken from when it was built, comparing to maybe 2 years or 3 years down the line, okay, to take these certain measurements. Can I have the next one? So, important is that we have to take measurements at specific areas and at a standard location so that we have a standard to know how much of the wear has occurred. Okay, you can see from here already a big indentation and loss of chrome on a material. This is the rotor side, right? And you will have a lot of breakouts, potential peeling off and chipping off of chrome. Yeah, so this one probably it is one of the things that we have advised to the customer. You should already spend money to buy a new rotor. Okay, which the customer did buy, and I think they are planning to do the installation soon. And this is an example of inspections over the rotor end plate, and you can see over time the problem where this is the location of the rotor end plate, and huge wear and tear and scratches that you can see along the area. These are classic examples where we say, you know what, the customer needs to do a replacement. So when our EFS guy comes into the the mixer, it is not only just picking up the measurements, but he's also taking up this information so that we can make a more better understanding of the condition of your mixer. Okay. Now we come to a more HF group focused predictive solutions which we have developed for ourselves, yeah, to help the customer. We have a system in which we can scan the condition of your chamber. Special sensors developed so we can do a surface scanning of your chamber, and we start to plot out the wear of the area of the chamber. not only does this figures give us a good identification in which location or which quadrant of the chamber have you got the wear, but it also is quite important information for compounders, because if from this information they might be able to use this to improve their fill factor. Okay, but for us, under a maintenance perspective, we are actually more interested to know when it's going to get to a very dangerous situation in which we have to replace the chamber. Next one. This is an example of a wear on the chamber. You can see these lines, okay? So when you start seeing all these lines that are developing inside the chamber, meaning that the top surface of the wear area is starting to wear out. Okay, and I will show you the crazy situation when that happens. Okay. This is an example of a mixer that we identified and that had to be replaced within a year. Fortunately, when we informed the customer of this condition, they managed to place the order for the spare body just in time, and during the period that the mixer body was transported from the port to their factory, that was when the water started to leak. Okay, but you can see the wear on this area, right? And the hard coat, sorry, this was a chrome mixer, so the chroming came off, and you can see the base material. Okay, it's a lot of investigative work that is required from our EFS for these kind of inspections. Can you have the next one? Okay, and then the latest one is the roto digitization. This is where we have equipment to digitize your roto. When we supply a roto to a customer, we already pre-digitize it. So in the future, we will make a digital measurement again for your rotos, maybe in 3 years' time, 5 years' times, to understand where are the massive wears coming from. So, in quick description about this process, there's no more guessing games, because we have a very high-tech analyzer to check the actual conditions on the surface. In the past, it's always about visualization, but now we're actually using equipment to gather information for us. Next slide. Yeah, okay. And this is a quick presentation that I would like to share with you about how we deal with our extended life system. Okay. So my beautiful colleague here has a problem and calls my other colleague, who is sitting down. So the main point that we wanted to show to you is the technology that we have right now in scanning and digitizing your rotos. So one of the main advantages of these activities is that when we're talking about extended life, we're talking about approaching the wear and tear of your mixer, and analyzing if can we repair things ahead of or more in advance. By doing this, you will not only be able to identify problems much earlier, but you get the chance to rectify the problems much earlier. Okay, so through this digitization and analysis and scanning, we send the information back to our experts, who will analyze it based on the build data of your particular equipment, right? And after the evaluation, we will send to our EFS the correct information on where to do the repairs. So you can see that our technician is getting ready to make some repairs. Yes, obviously we are showing you a photo in our workshop, because basically all our other customers, they have a confidentiality agreement. I can't show anything that's happening in our customer's location. Yeah. But the principle is what it is. Okay. So we make a measurement again, and we have new data. Okay. Okay, so after the customer is happy with the new data, the important thing for you is that your machine now has a new lease of life. And we have given it a new, give a new breath to extend its life and maybe give you more and more benefits later. Okay? Yeah, you're welcome to come over to our booth to understand in more detail about these services. Yeah, next we have also these vibration sensors, vibration analysis that are also available on our services. This one we logged in and we will make conditional monitoring information for the customers for analysis. And with that analysis of vibration and noise, we'll be able to identify much clearer conditions of bearings and moving parts. Yeah. Okay, next one. Yeah, and I cannot stress enough the importance of oil sampling, especially in your hydraulic oils, because this is something that not only are we looking at. Can I have the next slide? We're not only just concerned about the foreign content, but also for water saturation, because water is the biggest enemy for hydraulic oil. You lose your viscosity and you lose the efficiency of your hydraulic functions. Yeah. And in this photo, I just wanted to mention that we have an online system, yeah, that we bring to do the analysis of the oil. So this is something that is not that you will know there and then the condition of your oils. It's not something that you have to wait for our lab report or something like that. Okay. Yeah, and a report will be presented to you to measure when you should change your oil or replace your oil or do a refreshing of the hydraulic oil. Okay, so in the last of my words, I think I make good time. We just have roughly about 6 minutes. Yeah. So why choose predictive maintenance or condition-based maintenance by HF? Now, predictive maintenance or condition-based maintenance requires accurate data, which not only HF, but your OEM would know through its design philosophy. And our highly trained engineering field services, or EFS we call them, personnel, are trained exclusively on the design, build, and performance characteristics of mixer components. It's what we do every day, it's what we handle every day. And in the end, because our customers deserve the best, why settle for less? If there's no other questions, I will open the table to any questions to my colleagues. Anybody at the back? Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. As you know, we are at booth number B5. Please come and visit us for any information you would like to know about mixer maintenance, not only HF mixers, but any of your mixers. You can feel free to discuss with us. And if you're looking for a new mixer, it's going now at a very good price of a discount of what? How much? 10% discount. by 8% if you buy something from the show today. Anyway, thank you for your time, and we hope to see and come back to the show soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for Mr. Ahmad Zafrullah, for our speaker today. And we have a notice section, for, last but not least for today, at 3:30. If you are interested, please stay here, and then we're going to start soon. Thank you.